So in 2019, Kal Katster, in 2019, they apparently made I guess an update thing and completely lost it of the, probably around with computer change. I mean, the 2019 one of the planets. I'm actually going to turn off the extra audio here so it's not as loud. Okay, of the planets and stars in the universe, wiki stars and things, spoofy sort of thing. Yeah, this is Kal Kat, Adam Brown, the author of Space Vanguards, USV, the Space-Time Eye, Canary Space, the Amazon novel, and the Zillion Realms. And I was going over the Star Trek thing, Star Trek stars. I was going over the Star Trek stars, and I thought, and putting out all the stuff that was for my own edification. I really wasn't doing anything online for it, and it was like the some of them are interesting. Don't necessarily need to go into what doesn't make sense in the universes, except that the Star Trek stars were interesting, and then the other ones that were supplanted on top of them were not as interesting, but certainly interesting. When of course in the 1960s, when the Star Trek people thought of these different stars and planets and things, the writers weren't astronomers. The writers were just, oh, this looks neat, that's a star, let's use it. Often they would have stars in the sky that were not. I'm not an astronomer either. I'm a science fiction writer, but I've tried to study it as much as possible before the pandemic thing happened. But yes, so I'm going to go over some of the stars that are in some of the series, and then go back. So there may be some duplicates, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to go over some stars. Okay, this starting with, I believe these are the stars of let's do the stars of interest first, because they were the star cracker one, basically. The stars of interest. So let's just enlarge this a lot so that I can just easily read it. Maybe not that much. Maybe a little more. Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, the first star on the list is Alpha Centauri, Proxima, one of the closest stars to the Sun. As far as we know from, it was used in star crackers and in Space Vanguards as well. In the Star Crackers fan film, the planet Desiree that they go to, that is in the Centauri system. Alpha Centauri system, so that's what that is. And in the Canary Space novels, it's in Canary Space novels, it is the star of the Litkra and Dargray, that system. Now, since those stories were written, we've learned more about the possible planets in our neighboring solar system, and. It's interesting that the Proxima, a red dwarf, actually has a planet in orbit in the life zone of Proxima, and that it's a super Earth, and that it probably doesn't really have an atmosphere as we know it. It's probably just like a hot Jupiter super Earth transition between the two, which is cool. So that's what we know now. There's a planet that was in Canary Space was apparently that planet. But I didn't know I was guessing. So, and Proxima. Alpha Centauri, Beta Centauri, Proxima. So, those two, we have Alpha Centauri, oddly enough, isn't mentioned much in Star Trek. There was a book, Star Trek novel called Crisis on Centaurus. I mentioned it. Mentioned much in there. and it was approximately as red dwarf, but Alpha and Beta Centauri, Alpha Centauri A and B, are a white binary separated by an 80-year orbit. So they have an orbit, they're orbiting each other kind of like this every 80 years. So roughly the Earth Saturn distance or something, maybe a little further. But at times it gets as close as the Earth Saturn, the Sun to Saturn distance. But at times it's Sun to Neptune distance. Sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 80, depending on an average of 80. No detected terrestrial planets, no detected Jupiters in the system. So unlike yet, the because of the resonance, they can't tell debris. Should be able to tell pretty soon with the not the Kepler, the James Webb. Should be able to tell pretty soon. But that is that telescope is a infrared telescope, so if they see anything it'll look different. This other star in the stars of interest was Barnard's star, Barnard, named after Barnard, which may or may not have planets, or may have planets again. You can read up on the astronomers of Barnard's star. It's another red dwarf. An older red dwarf, though, not a flare star like Proxima. And then we come to Sirius, which is, Sirius, it seems that they're descending in terms of distance, or ascending in terms of distance. And Sirius, which is a white star, the A-type star, larger than the Sun. So if it had planets, it's about 9 light years out, 8.6 to 9 light years out. It would have been perturbed by when the white dwarf that orbits it, Sirius B, was a red giant. Now, even when I was a young teenager, I thought that Sirius was red for some reason. Even though I had a program on the Apple II in which the Sirius was white, I still thought it was red for some reason. Red Sirius. I think there was a book called that too. So it confused me and I thought it was red. So I wrote this big elaborate sci-fi comic type of story where Sirius explodes into a red giant, blows up. It's like it won't do that. Actually, it is faster aging than the Sun, but it's not. The Sirius B hasn't been a red giant for a long time, so there's no way that ancient man saw it red. It's always white. The brilliant one, you see, in the Arabic. And the Arabs did discover a lot of these stars, so you have these weird star names like Algol and Rigel and things like that. Deneb, all Arab names. Sirius. Procyon. Procyon and Sirius may be actually, those may be actually Greek names. And then we come to, that's the dog star, and up before the dog. And that was the curiosity during the evergreen years in college, where they were up before the dog is Procyon, and the Procyon Lotor is a raccoon. So is it up before the dog? So it's the raccoon star. Marx Karch thought that was, or John Baker thought that Procyon would be another dog star, it's a little dog star, so before the dogs there'd be raccoons on it, which is cool. It'd be a fanciful story. You get raccoons on it. That's another very bright white star with a white dwarf in orbit. It's a kind of a twin, an analog to Sirius. Further off, 11 something light years, 0.5 light years. And then you come to 61 Cygni, which is 61 Cygni, which is another star in the Cygnus, the Swan. And it's a K-type binary, and they orbit each other every 660 years, roughly. K-type binary, which means they're orange. They're orangish colored. Well, when you look at them, they look white, but they're orangish colored. Sort of like the sun. When you look at the sun, it's white. It's not yellow, although when you look through the spectral thing, it's yellow. It's cheap. So they're some stronger. And then there's Epsilon Eridani, or Eridani, which has been subject of many sci-fi books and stuff before they knew. The problem with Epsilon Eridani, another K-type star, close by, is it's very young. And so not detectable planets, very young. It is only about a billion years old. I think they have found a planet there since then. This is an earlier guide. Tau Ceti is the next one. And it's all about, Tau Ceti has had some interesting later things that I think I get into later on with other stories. Tau Ceti has, they did a test to see whether there could be planets in the system. So they ran a simulation, which found 3 or 4 planets in the system. And then they ran another simulation to see whether there's something. And then they did some scans. And since then, they have found at least 1 or 2 of those planets that actually is there. A lot of dust in Tau Ceti. About the same age as the sun, if not younger, a little bit. A lot of larger debris disk than we have, larger asteroid field. But there could be planets, and it's been the subject of sci-fi as well. And then there's 40 Eridani. 40 Eridani is keyed. Omicron Eridani as well. And 40 Eridani is about 16.5 light years away, and it is Vulcan from Star Trek. 40 Eridani. And then we come to EV Lacerta, a little red dwarf star. Nope, I don't know if it's a planet or not. 70 Ophiuchi is another planet from the Star Trek as well. It is Miri's planet, according to the writers. It couldn't be, though, because it's a binary and it's too young. 2 billion years old. It couldn't be Miri's planet. And it's a Canary star as well. There's been not much of that. Sigma Draconis is next, and it is a fairly young star as well. Unfortunately, too young to have planets. About 19 light years away. It's only about 1 billion years old. There is a planet, though. It's a planet, Super Earth. I think it's a Jupiter. I think it's a hot Jupiter. It wouldn't be different than distant Death. And then there's 82 Eridani, which is more sun-like, and about 20 light years off, and about the right age to have planets. So 82 Eridani. And then we come to Beta Hydri, which is about 24.5 light years off, in sun-like. However, brighter than the sun. So 2 AU out from the star. AU's astronomical unit is from the sun to the Earth. So, but in a different solar system, that'd be different. So takes a year, 365.555 days for the sun, to the Earth to orbit the sun. So on another solar system, a year would be completely different. So in Star Trek, it doesn't make sense when they tell other aliens from other planets, oh, it's this year or it's next year or whatever it's like. To them, it would be completely different. Zeta Tucana, another sun-like star, F-type star, a little brighter than the sun, but younger, 3 billion years old, often subject of alien planets. Asterion or Chara, or Beta Canem Venicanorum. There's Greek in there, and there's Arabic in there, and there's Latin. Chara, G-type star similar to the sun, but less metals. 1 AU out. All right. Rana Delta Eridani. In the Silly Trek series, that is Romulus. To make it make more sense, that would be Romulus. It's only a little bit away from 40 Eridani, so close by. Romulus could not explode into a supernova. It is an F-type star. It's a subgiant K star, actually, but it is not in any chance of going nova. It's not for 1 billion years or something. It's been subject of many sci-fi stories. I think also Rana, their Delta Eridani, also subject of a Star Trek star as well. But not that one. They didn't pick that one as Romulus. I did. And then we come to Iota Persei, which is from Futurama, of course. But this Iota Persei is actually closer than that one. That one was said to be thousands of years away. This one actually isn't. It's 34 light years off. It's pretty close by. So, Iota Persei, slightly brighter than the sun. Yeah. And then there's Theta Persei, which is near it, which is 30, a little bit further off. Yeah, 36 light years. 36.5, another F-type star. They're part of a moving group. The Perseus, Perseus, Greek god Perseus, and then we come to Zeta Reticuli, and the alien grays, Zeta Reticuli. Yeah, that's a binary star, but they're roughly analogous to Centauri A and B, and binary star. About 1 to 2 AUs out from those two stars, you would have planets. Their orbit is further out, so they have a larger orbit. They have roughly a 3,800 some, or around each other. So they're not that close to each other. They could have planets. Star Trek would often have planets where there were two warring factions together fighting each other. I think Zeta Reticuli would be one of those such cases. Zeta Reticuli. So that was the section of stars of interest. Close it. And now I'm going to go to just to go ramble on about stars. The revised star guide thingy. And yeah, we're going to look at that. And I'm just going to skip over the ones that I've already gone over. So here we have Iota Pavonis. Not as metal rich as the sun. Near Gamma Pavonis, near Delta Pavonis. A little further out, 58 light years as a planet. Yeah, so Iota Pavonis. And then we have Gamma Pavonis, also as a planet. Now they've discovered a planet. 30 light years out, Gamma Pavonis. I don't think it's a hot Jupiter. I think it's like a Jovian. But yeah, or at least a Neptune in Gamma Pavonis. The one of the planets of distant destinies of the Canary Space. Those Pavonis planets are the Canary Space planets. Yeah, so 30 light years out, but it is metal poor. Metal poor. Metallicity means how much metal's in the star in the spectrum. It's not literally. There's not literally metal in it. It's just that how much, when they add up the hydrogen and the helium, how much of the little bits of other stuff is left. The sun is 100% metal, but it's not metals. Literally, it's what's in the spectrum. If it's metal poor, it's going to be a little brighter, a little closer to F-type, whiter. Yeah. And that's Gamma Pavonis. Delta Pavonis, similar, 20 light years off. A subgiant, so it's similar to Urana. Also not going to blow up. But the star may be as young as 2 billion years old, so it might not actually work for distant destinies, but we used it anyway. It might be kind of young. Yeah, we'd already done Centaurus, A and B. Planets, oh yeah, under Centaurus though, with the Centauri system, you'd have roughly a full year around star A, a little bit more. And around star B, you would have roughly a little under a year, similar to Venus in the Solar System. But we don't need to go over. I'm just going to skip the Centaurus because, and Sol, because, sure. Talceti, did that already. Iota Persei, did that. Okay, then we come to 26 Draconis, which is a star, 90% metals of Sol, 46 light years off. There's a planet, 26 Draconis. I think it's a hot Jupiter, though, so there's probably not too many planets around that one. Sigma Draconis, I think I mentioned that before, a K-type star. I think also, back up to 26 Draconis, it is a binary. Similar in some ways to Centaurus, but not exactly. I think it's a wider binary. Maybe wrong about that. 31 Aquilae, 31 the Eagle, Aquilae. This one is a lot very metal rich, over 200% metal rich. Subgiant yellow star probably has a binary. That's I count with the metal rich. As planet, 31 Aquilae. 51 Pegasi, one of the first extrasolar planets discovered. G-type yellow star, 51 Pegasi. That is a hot Jupiter, so yeah, 51 Pegasi. And they've named it Bellerophon. Yes. And Dionysus is the other planet. There's 2 planets. That may actually be within the habit zone. So there could have a moon. That's that Jovian. That's roughly. And then we come to Sirius, which already done. 47 Ursa Majoris. Bear. 46 light years off. Very sun-like. D-type star. And it has a planet. They discovered a planet. So a lot of these have discovered a planet. And now we come to like funny names here. HD 93307, which may not be anything anymore. Sometimes they put a paper towel thing in there to throw it off. It could be a planet. Maybe not. I'm going to skip those HD ones because they're kind of boring. So, I think that was supposed to be yeah. Let's go to Arcturus. Arcturus is also a Star Trek planet. Arcturus is I think it's a K-type giant, orange-red giant. Yeah. Not going to have any planets. Alright, so, as for stars of interest, let's jump into the Star Trek ones now. Onto the lightning round. Star Trek planets. Okay, we have 40 Eridani. That's 3 stars in 40 Eridani. Vulcan, Star Trek. There's a trinary, similar to Centaurus, but quite different in terms of layout. 40 Eridani, A being K-type, and its binary companions are closer. So it probably doesn't have a Vulcan planet necessarily. There are planets there, but a Vulcan planet not necessarily. 61 Cygni, means that is the planet of Tellar, the Tellarites, Star Trek. 61 Ursa Majoris, a sun-like star, V8 main sequence star, is said to be the homeworld of Archer 4. 70 Ophiuchus is supposed to be the Uris planet. And 94 Icarii is the planet from Unexpected. Weird one, the Felici, the Philibidans planet. Acamar is the Acamarian planet. Theta Eridani, in the sky, and book, and the Acamarians, the Vengeance Factor. The Acamarians. Archanar, and Acamar. Star Trek Nemesis. Aldebaran is said where the Aldebarian whiskey is from. The Aldebarian. And the Aldebarian, games and Alabardian water and stuff. Aldebarian. Red Giant, though, probably wouldn't have planets. That's the thing about Arcanar as well. It wouldn't have planets. But they didn't know. Algol, the demon star, Beta Persei. From Menage a Trois. But, is that the Beta Z planet? Because that wouldn't... Yeah, maybe that's supposed to be Beta Z. But it can't be, because it's a giant... Alioth, in Epsilon Ursa Majoris. is also, I think, a giant star. Uh, Altenac, Zeta Orionis, is also a giant 50 Origami star system of the City on the Edge of Forever. Star where the poem is from. City on the Edge of Forever. Alpha Centauri, of course, Rigel Centaurus. They've used Rigel quite a few times, and that's because Rigel means part of something. So, Rigel Centaurus, part of the horse. So, part of the centaur. So, Rigel Centaurus. And they've used Deneb quite a lot to mean other Denebs. Rigels to mean other Rigels. Alpha City. Minka. Alpha City in Carminka. They've mixed up things. They've said even in the database, Alpha Ceti should be the planet Ceti Alpha from the Wrath of Khan and Spacey. Not Ceti Alpha Ceti. That would make sense. Ceti would not come before Alpha. Alpha Ceti. Twilight, the planet episode of Star Trek Enterprise, also refers to Ceti Alpha or Alpha Ceti. Tau Alpha C, the Traveler, should be Alpha Ceti. Centauri or something else. Tau Alpha C doesn't make sense. So Dr. Crusher said Tau Ceti. I don't think it'd be either of those, really. But, Traveler. Alpha Corona Borealis. Next generation novel and televore. Also, Alpheka, I believe, is also a red star. Giant star again. Is a binary star. So, Alpha Trianguli, Mathalida, Mathala, is Alpha Trianguli, is a binary, spectroscopic binary, which means it may not be a binary. Spectroscopic binary, I guess it means like they look like they're together. They might not be. Mincullen and Mincullenab, a Romulan neutral zone planet. It may not be a Romulus itself. And then there's Altair, Alpha Aquila, Alpha Eagle. Altair, it's like Altair water. Cometary Cloud, Aquila, Red Giant again. Oops. Antares, okay. Antares, I think it's a blue giant. Conscience of the King, the Changeling, a bunch of Star Trek episodes deal with that. Antares. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan refers to it. Yeah. These stars were bright, so reddish Antares. Antares. Rival of Mars, reddish Antares. Arcturus is also in the Bootes constellation. That one's different. In the Bootes constellation, also red is Arcturus. Also mentioned in Star Trek. Barnard star. Barnard is mentioned again. With a Star Trek star. Beta Aquila, Alshane, Eye of the Beholder. TNG, Eye of the Beholder. A binary star in the constellation. It is also a red giant. no planets. A very close binary. Beta Aurigae, or Menkalan, from Turnabout Intruder. Next, classic Trek. I believe that is also a giant. I believe the Capellan stars too. Beta Iridani, Cursa, are they possible in Star Trek Online? Some planets. I don't know if that counts, but because it's the online games and stuff. But Cursa, giant. Bright giant star. So, Beta Tauri, the Galileo 7, which they went back to in Prodigy episode, and but they had people on the planet, the Enterprisians, just recently. No, it's still a red giant. Yeah, a lot of these stars are bright because they're bright and they're giants. Betelgeuse was instantly currently in the news for having dimmed and brightened again and dimmed again. Well, it is a is it's the star in the Orion. It's Alpha Orionis Betelgeuse. It's the star that the line from Blade Runner when the guy said, it's Starfleets are burning on the shoulders of Orion. He made it up. He's just throwing it out there. But what's interesting is it is actually burning. Orion, the star Betelgeuse, is ballooned out to the point that it's at the edge of its. If it was in this solar system, it would go out to near Neptune. It's ballooning out and it's puffing out pieces of itself. So it is kind of, sort of slowly going nova, but it looks like it's taking forever because there's so much of it. It's big, so it's like pieces of it are puffing out. So a large chunk of it flew off, and when it did, it cooled down, and then everyone saw it as the star was dimming because it got in front of it. But it wasn't actually exploding. It was just that it puffed out, basically burped like a bunch of itself out into space. It's awesome. So yeah, Betelgeuse. And then there's Canopus. Dude. No, not that kind of Canopus. Canopus. Where No One's Gone Before. It's a classic Trek. Canopus and Fictional Aliens. Ultimate Computer in the Eye of the Beholder is also mentioned. Yeah, Canopus is another big, bright, giant star. Then there's Capella, another giant star. Friday's Child. It landed on the planet. There's a planet there. Bright, giant star. Think of that. Binary. There wouldn't be, but it's kind of fun to contemplate it. Also, the quartet of Kurz and Capella, the other ones. Also known as stars in Firefly and BSG. But yes, one of them anyway. So then we come to Delta Eridani, Rana, Delta Eridani, and Delta Rena. Called Delta Rena. In Star Trek. Also in Star Trek we have Delta Pavonis is the Benzite star. And according to the charts, I don't think it is. Well, if they say it is. Okuda's is canon. Then we have Deneb, Alpha Cygnus. We have a lot of Denebs in Star Trek. This is one that was confirmed. Alpha Cygnus, Deneb, bright star in that constellation, Summer Triangle. Epsilon Eridani, the Ram. Also young, K-type, and a little to, not a red giant. Epsilon Indi, also K-type. Jilden Jalid, and the Child. TNG and Next Generation. That one's mentioned. Ida Cassiopeia, Archinid, Terra Nova. Yeah, both versions of Terra Nova. Mainly the Enterprise one. Because this guide is from 2019 before the other shows. As it might even predate it. Gamma Cratoris in Star Trek Online. Another red giant can't be. Gamma Hydra. Gamma Hydra Section 10. That's Star Trek movies. The original series. The Wrath of Khan. Gamma Hydra. Another red giant. Gamma Leonis. I think Vega's blue. So they mentioned Vega. Yeah, it's blue. I think also Rigel is blue. I think they're going to mention Rigel later. That one's blue. But yeah, giant though. Gamma Leporis, Star Trek universe. Gamma Leporis, home star of an unnamed Laurelian homeworld. Gamma Trianguli is from the Apple. Gamma Leonis from the one guide. I believe the Leonis, the Trianguli thing is also related to Klingon, Kronos as well. Later on, they decided it was Kronos from the. It's not, but they decided it was. It can't be that far away. For one thing. Iota Geminorium, Star Trek canon, the fourth planet orbiting Iota Geminorium is the home world of the Tribbles. Although having recently been to a convention, the Adam Savage convention, this was mentioned. David Gerald was there, and he said, "Yeah, I realize it now. Iota Geminorium is giant. There wouldn't be any triple planet orbit of it. However, there could be a planet behind it, a star behind it, which I probably did in a fan film. So yes, star behind it. It's the spectroscopic binary, so behind it. That works. Izar, do whatever you want to do. Your sci-fi. Izar. What's funny is Garth of Izar, Epsilon Booties. Izar is actually a star. It wasn't the guy that was named Izar, it was the star whom got destroyed. Yeah. Kappa Coroni Borealis, Star Trek Next Generation, Firstborn, and the Forsaken from Deep Space Nine. No star. Mira Omicron Ceti. There's a lot of Cetis as well. Side of Paradise, Conspiracy, and others. A Mira Variable. There wouldn't be any planets in orbit of a Mira Variable. And those other two are giants too, so no planets. Oh no. Oh, and Mizar, which I thought would be a cool place to have a planet, because it sounds spacey and alien. Nope, no planets. Too bright, too young. Too bright and too young. Blue type star, is a binary Alcor pair. Also speculative stars from Battlestar Galactica. And other series. The Mizar Alcor pair is the Horse and Rider. And they wrote that in there even though it's like, come on. Mu Capricorn from Star Trek Motion Picture. Base there. Mu Capricorn. No, there isn't. It's red giant. Pollux and Castor also are doubles. Also possible locations for the Battlestar Galactica planets. Pollux and Castor. Also giant stars. Procyon. Procyon. Rosati Prime. Procyon is Alpha Canis Minoris, and is the home world of the I believe the Andorians from there. Proxima Centauri. They don't. Kushara and others. I think it's Rigel 10 as that one. So yeah. Actually, did I read that right? Yeah, Zodi Prime. Rigel Kentaurus 10. So in that episode, it was Rigel Kentaurus 10. I think in other cases they might have entirely left out Rigel 2. But they would have said Kentaurus. To be accurate. Regulus. Regula. The Regulon bloodworms. The plot of Blood and Fire by David Sherrill. The Regulon bloodworms. Kirshara, that's the one I meant. Regulus is Kirshara. And Blood and Fire, fan film. That's not on here, but it is there. Bloodworms. Rigel, Beta Orionis, the blue star. Giant star. Okay, Beta Illyria, the slaver weapon. Episode of Star Trek, the animated series. Larry Niven. Beta Illyria, as it connects it to Larry Niven and the Kanzati and all that stuff, the cat people. Of course. Yes. Kanzati. Sigma Draconis. Spock's brain. Aliens took them to Sigma Draconis. Interestingly enough, a little younger than the Sun, but sure, planets. Draconis star group. That's fine. Not that much younger. Sirius, Alpha Canis Minoris, also a Star Trek star. Spica, blue giant star, has planets too. Alpha Virginius, Virgo. Tau Ceti, where there was a mistake. Dr. Crusher saying the guy was from Tau Ceti. It wasn't. Tau Ceti is probably a better choice for Andoria as well, but they didn't do that. Better choice than Prion. Oh, anyway, that's alright. But that's not what they wanted to do. Tau Corona Borealis, Deep Space Nine, Another giant star that it's bright. Sure, why not? Tau Cygni, the instance of command. Another bright star. Okay, but yeah, Chelyaq on there because the star is Chelyaq. Theta Hydri as opposed to Beta Hydri. Star Trek Expanded Universe. Star charts lists it as the borders of the Klingon Empire. Honor, even though it's in the wrong direction. Vega, Valeria, and Wolf 359 from the board. Best of Both Worlds. Well, they actually figured where that was. It's Red Giant. And Zeta Reticuli, Light Binary Star System. So, yeah, there's a lot of venoms on in there. Yeah, sure. I decided to go over some stars because that old guide from 2019 got lost. This replaces it. It's just me chatting about stars and looking at a star guide over here and being weirdly distanced over there reading star guides. Yeah. So what do I think of that? I think of all the goofy names, placeholders, and things. It seems they just guessed at a lot of things. I think if you it's a sci-fi thing. You can kind of do whatever you want, basically. If your star system has just been found out, like Red Angel from Starcrackers, then sure, that's what it is. If there was a new distant, Canary Space Story or Starcracker story today, they'd go to Tabby Star or something. Because there's the stuff at Tabby Star. Yeah, whatever. Do what you want to do. Cygnus X1, you got a black hole there, 1,000 light years away or so. Fall into the black hole. You won't go down a sink well, though, if you fall into the black hole. You'll be splattered onto the surface of the singularity. Spaghettified. Yeah, it's not actually a hole. It's not a sink well. It's a singularity all the way around. Light doesn't escape it. Except for when you see those weird, like, galactic black holes that are super energized and they're shooting matter everywhere. It'd be more like a white hole in that case. Nothing goes in, comes out. Just comes out. Like that one they took a picture of. It's supposed to be a black hole, but it's acting like a super, like, energized something else. Yeah, so they can shoot matter out if it hits the accretion disk and flies off. Some of those will do that. Big, massive ones. But yeah, the one at the center of our galaxy, for instance, doesn't shoot matter off. It just zips stars around itself. Yeah. A couple of them got messed up, but yeah. Oh, if you're interested in space and reading that old star list there. Yeah. Well, we took some liberties with where the planets were. And we won't go back and rewrite the Canary Space stories to say, like, oh, those planets didn't really exist, or they were all wiped out in the space war or whatever. No, we're not going to reinvent the stuff we already wrote. No, let's leave it. It's the same thing with the Starship location stars being not exactly where we thought they were, because we weren't really trying to figure out where they were. And went through all the trouble of trying to figure out where they were. No, these stars are like these other stars, but they're not them specifically. So we don't need to go into the stars they were analogs for. But, we don't really need to do that. I mean, I could go and look at them now, but I'm not going to, because it's not really those stars. It's just their own thing. It's Cillian realm. They're where they need to be, and also because it's current, so I kind of don't want to give it all away. Because, like, wait a minute, oh no. Then Star Trek will totally take the idea and go like, we're going to go visit the Cillian planets next. They inevitably will. So we won't tell them. So they won't know. Just told them about their own stars. Klingon homeworld is Alpha Triangulum or something. The Romulan one is that that tough singing thing, but it can't be because that's not. Yeah, they said the star went nova, so it's got to be. That wouldn't really work though. If a star went nova only 1,000 light years from Federation headquarters, say if Betelgeuse went nova tomorrow, 700 light year later, or it happened in the past. It wouldn't really destroy other solar systems. It would only destroy the solar system it was in, because it's just too far away. Solar distances. They're always messing that up in sci-fi stories. And even the new Star Trek. Even the new Star Wars, too. You know, they had that star killer weapon in the Star Wars movie. The weapon was connected to the star. I guess it was a dwarf star. It was draining it. Until the star blew up the planet. It's like, that wouldn't work. Ever. You have an Earth-like planet. No. No. And you have a star. The star is thousands to millions of times bigger than the planet. It's not going to be able to suck the star into the planet. It's not how that works. The planet would go into the star before it went the other way. Because gravity's a thing. It happens. Even if the planet was sucking a Jupiter out, like sucking on Jupiter, like in 2010, A Space Odyssey, that also didn't make sense. The monoliths shrunk Jupiter so that they could make it a star. That didn't make sense. And that was Arthur C. Clarke. Mini sun would also disrupt the gravity of the solar system, because it's in the solar system. Screw everything up. Fortunately, we have things like Universe Sandbox on YouTube, and people have tried to do that. It screwed up the whole solar system and the simulation. So yeah, there's funny stuff. Mark's guards one time blew up Jupiter by lighting the Great Red Spot on fire. In the story. But I actually crashed Mars into Venus in the story and made a duo planet out of it. You might think, oh, he's ripping off Roach World. It's like, nope, this is years before Roach World. Roach World did it too. But yeah. Yeah, and my story didn't make sense. Roach World sort of tries to make sense. Roach as in roach limit, not roach as in cockroaches. Although if something like National Lampoon exists to make fun of books back then, in the 80s, if they were still around at that point, they kind of were, they should have done a spoof where Roach World was Roach World. And it was like these roach things. That would be pretty funny. Roach World. Silly ideas in science fiction. Black hole. The black hole, the Disney movie. It's not a sinkhole. It's Event Horizon. It's all the way around. You look it up. Mark Scards and I once had a hilarious debate at a Bacon convention about the nature of black holes before Interstellar hadn't come out yet. So, he hadn't seen Interstellar yet. He hasn't even seen it now, I don't think. I think he's seen parts of it. But yeah, the black hole in that one was accurate. He wasn't sucked into it, he was around the event horizon to get launched out from it into the future. It still doesn't make sense, but it was more accurate than falling into a sink well. That's not what it is. I know they say gravity well, and they think, oh, it's gravity well, so it's literally a well. No, the ship isn't going into it. It's getting splattered onto it. Yeah. Anyway, so planets, stars, stuff. Classic Trek, apparently all the way up to Enterprise. All the way up to 2001, not realizing, well, some of these stars can't actually be those stars, because It wouldn't have planets. Remember, they made a big deal when on the Enterprise cast. Let's establish that Vulcan is 40 Eridani. Let's actually say it in the episode. And so Trip is like 40 Eridani. Vulcan, yeah, I call it 40 Eridani. 16 light years. And then they said Andoria was Procyon, so it's canon. Or Teller Procyon. Oh well. Anyways, there's a star thing, yeah. So, Oh yeah, I should probably reference the. No, it hasn't been referenced in the place. I figured out where the Westeros star, the star of I figured out what kind of planet the Westeros planet from Game of Thrones is. It is a Jovian planet in the Hab zone of a star that is brighter than the sun by at least 2 times. It's a Jovian. It's a moon of a Jovian, or a brighter star of the sun, possibly Vega. Vega would be a right good analog, because even though it's too young, but it would be a star like Vega but older. So it's like Vega but older. So it's old enough to have planets around it. And the star of and the reason that winter and summer come every 7 or so years is because of the orbit of the moon on the star is an eccentric orbit. And when it gets closer to the sun, perihelion and perihelion is summer, and when it's further away, it's winter. The planet. The planet is an ice wall world, ice shell world. It has ice here in their ice shell moon. It's an ice shell moon. It's bigger than it's somewhere between Mars-sized and moon-sized. It's bigger than a regular moon, and it's orbiting this planet. So I figured out what Westeros should be. So it has that orbit. It would inevitably, if it's 7 years on one side, 7 years the other, is a 14-year orbit around the star, and it's quite a long time. But as it orbits itself. So it's kind of like it orbits the gas giant. The other moon in the sky is the gas giant that it's orbiting, and when it's a winter during the first 7 years of the story, because it's Game of Thrones planet. There you go. Game of Thrones planet. Ooh. And a better Battlestar Galactica 2004 planet system, 2003 planet system, wouldn't necessarily be the pulsars. It would be the ones in Carina, the Castor and the Alcor, those ones, because they're closer together and they're more of a quintet, and that would be better star for the BSG stars. But yeah, Westeros is gas giant. It makes sense. You're like, okay, yeah, it's gas giant. And it's a colony. And when they say in the story that there was I think the dragons came out of the moon, that was symbolic. And so there was like a landing of a ship, cometary ship of the planet. And it wasn't that it spat out dragons, it's that it devastated the ice shell moon because it crashed into it. Yeah. So knocked its orbit off slightly. So another moon struck the planet. The dragons came out. No, it was just fire that came out. Broadside of the ice shell moon. Cracked the ocean open. Ooh. So yeah. Haven't seen anything in Game of Thrones, but I figured I could find that planet. It's probably an F-type star. Let's put it in orbit of maybe Altair. Probably work. It's an orbit of Altair. Be about right. Blue-white to white to F-type, or maybe Urana. Maybe it's an orbit of Delta Eridani. That would also work. It could be could be an orbit of Delta Pavonis. Similar. That one too. Could be that one. But Altair, I like Altair. Oh, that'll work.